What a game he's had. Yager in front, turns, he scores! And that's 742.
Hello out there, we're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Hello my friends, welcome to another edition of Stick Time. I am Patrick Hengels here with my good friends Logan Condon and Brett Mayerson. How we doing, guys?
Good. How about you?
I'm fine.
He's just fine, guys. Alright, so let's start off our Stick Time show today with the NHL playoff picture. The teams that have clinched so far, we have the Atlantic Division champion Florida Panthers, clinching the first wild card spot, the New York Islanders, also clinching behind there in the Atlantic Division in second place, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the President's Trophy winners, the Washington Capitals. Also, a wild card spot, as of right now, are the Philadelphia Flyers, but that could change depending on the win situation between them and the Bruins.
Yeah, they're the only team for the wild card spot. The Red Wings, the Flyers, and the Red Wings and Flyers are the only two that haven't clinched, and the Bruins are just trying to, in the Eastern Conference, that are just trying to get in there and trying to get the W, trying to make the playoffs.
I was at the airport on my way back from Charleston, and I was watching the game, Blackhawks and Bruins, and I gotta tell you, the whole situation with the Bruins does not look good. The Blackhawks just absolutely creamed them. Last time I checked, it was like 5-0.
They ended up losing 6-4.
6-4? Oh, they actually...
Still rascaled up 6 goals, but anyway.
Still, it's...
Yeah, but I mean, I never thought the Bruins would be at this situation, this point in the season, especially with all the success they were having early on, and their amazing coach, Claude Julien. Especially when they had a relatively, what Logan would probably describe as a Bruins fan, a relatively healthy season.
Oh,
yeah, well, they still been... Their defense has been plagued with injury.
Char was one of the only like last year. Though.
He was not out half the season, but their defense is still struggling with a lot of injury, and they're just not as coherent as they used to be. There's just a lot like they brought in Krug. I remember when they were in the playoff run in the lockout season, he really produced for them, so they kept him. I don't know if he was the best fit, but he's starting to like work his way in there, and they just have some people that don't go with each other.
Logan, can you elaborate more on this coherence issue that the Bruins are having?
Well, like you can see in past years, like when they made the run to the Stanley Cup Final and lost to the Blackhawks or against Vancouver, they were one whole team where like the defense wasn't as sloppy as they are this year.
Whenever half those players aren't even on the team anymore.
They're not on the team, but they still have a good defense. They're just really sloppy. I've seen the few games that are on this year I watch, and I've seen nothing but sloppy defense. And then usually their forecheck has always been best in the league, but you need a good defense to kind of get it in there, get it up out of your zone into the neutral zone, and get it to your forwards so they can dump it and then forecheck. But they just haven't been able to do that. It's mainly them getting up to the forwards in their zone, the forwards having to do all the work the rest of the way.
Yeah, and also David Krejci not missing many games this season, finally having a healthy season and one of his best seasons of his career. If the Bruins missed the playoffs for the second straight year, I don't know what would happen with that organization. A lot of people would be getting fired because that's just how Boston works, as well as Philadelphia works that way too. So
yeah, they want to have a winning season. They've always been a top caliber competitive team that you always got to keep an eye out for, except for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, but playing the role as a spoiler if they actually do get eliminated from the playoffs is not a very bad thing. Always knocking people out is kind of fun. Alright, so now let's talk about some of these other storylines in the Eastern Conference before we move on to the West. President's Trophy winners, the Washington Capitals, after an amazing offseason, getting TJ Oshie in a trade, re-signing Nicholas Backstrom, their star forward, and signing Justin Williams from the Los Angeles Kings, and also re-signing Brooks Orpik. This team actually had a record of 55, 17, and 7.
That is probably one of the best records
a President's Trophy winner has probably ever had.
The move that they made in the offseason was extremely smart. Because in the offseason, I followed all the trades very religiously and where people were moving. And when I saw
that's the best part about the NHL season is all the trades and stuff, because you're just like waiting to see if someone's going to
It's not like most sports or most other sports where it's like, oh, he's our only star player. Other teams have other star players and they're willing to give them up.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw TJ Oshie moving to the Capitals, having Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Oshie now on there.
And Williams also as another secondary scorer.
I all knew they were just all powerhouse forwards. all superstars. I knew that there was something special about this season that's going to happen with the Capitals.
Oh yeah, definitely. They really are a red hot team. They have a lot of great players, especially making that deal to get TJ Oshie. I think that was a really big step. I think that organization, because they've been struggling for a few years, and now when you have the right players playing on a team together, you really build up a chemistry that really sets up a winning season and a very successful team. And it would be no surprise if they just plowed through the playoffs and ended up making it to the Cup finals. But you gotta remember, playoff hockey is very unpredictable, and
Anything can happen.
anything can happen. Anyone can win.
Like when the Kings won.
Kings won
Couple
two
wa-
times in
two
4
ti-
years.
two
Both times as like an
Cinderella-
eight seed.
Yeah, Cinderella story. But, like, I hope they win, but you can't tell. You can't really know for sure.
Exactly. The past few years, as we've watched in our era, at least, the President's Trophy winner usually gets eliminated in the first or second round. I mean, you look at last year with the Nashville Predators winning the President's Trophy, and then they didn't even make it past the first round of the playoffs because they lost to Chicago, who was seeded way lower because Chicago was having what most Chicago fans would describe as a down season because they didn't get the number one seed in the Western Conference, and they still won the Stanley Cup. And I really do not know if this Capitals team is stable enough, because right now when you have the President's Trophy, you have a heck of a amount of confidence in you. You think, oh, everything's going to be cake, there's going to be a cakewalk, we are going to win the Stanley Cup, and that's what happens.
Gotta go in with confidence, not cockiness. about it.
Exactly, but it's overconfidence
But
that'll
let's not
bring you
talk
down.
about their
Definitely.
forwards. Let's talk about Braden Holtby.
I don't know how
He's been
he
a
bounced
shaky.
back.
I remember when they brought him on, he was kind of shaky. He had a really
He
good
was always
breakout
up and down
season.
from the AHL.
He was always up and down, and then he had the season where he brought them to the playoffs. They did very well, but ended up losing. I forget which round.
Semifinals actually to the
Semifinal.
Rangers, who they were up 3-1 against in the series.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
then he had a couple of down seasons, but this year he really just started to bring it. He really started playing his A game, just like the whole team.
I also
And
don't really
you
think
need
they need to make a lot of saves either because their
Yeah.
defense was unbelievable this year.
They also he is probably him in the forwards is also one of the reasons, because if you don't have you can have the best forwards and defensemen in the league, but it
They
all
already have
comes
the best forward in the league, arguably.
No, but
That's
you
what
just
that
need it comes down to the goaltender, because he's the ones that are going to make the big stops so you can really save games for you.
All right, so now let's move on to the Western Conference, and then we'll move on to the next topics. The clinched playoff berths right now, who are not division champions but have just clinched a spot. We have the Anaheim Ducks finally getting back in the mix after missing it last season. We have the wild card clinched Nashville Predators, last year's President's Trophy winners.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Los Angeles Kings, who are once again back in it after missing a year. The San Jose Sharks are back in it after eliminating the Kings from the playoffs last year and getting eliminated in the first round. And then also in the Central Division, we have all four teams in the Central have actually clinched. We have the Stars, the Wild, the Blues, and the Chicago Blackhawks, who have had another sort of down season, but have sort of gotten their young talent together to work with guys like Patrick Kane, Marian Hossa, and Jonathan Taves to finally connect. What are we going to see out of this Western Conference? I think the Eastern Conference has been a very dominant conference.
Oh,
this year.
yes.
But what you know, like last year, Blackhawks, everyone said down season. They're one of the lower seeds in the playoff run
And they
right
beat
now.
the Lightning, who were
Yeah.
having an amazing season.
So you really have no clue of how this conference could go, because every single team in the league that's in the playoffs is very unpredictable. You could have a terrible
The Dallas Stars.
you could have a terrible regular season, and then you can just show up for the playoffs because it's that stage. It's either you all through the season you can make mistakes, you can adjust from it, but in the playoffs, it's either you bring your A game or you're out and you're playing golf early.
Yeah, that really is a perfect way of putting it. Playoff hockey is the stakes are so much higher.
And that's why a lot more people watch playoff hockey, because playoff hockey is arguably, to all of our fans out there will probably agree with this, one of the best playoff sports you will ever watch on TV.
Oh, most definitely.
Exactly.
It
I mean, it's
gets
so
really competitive.
Really-
really competitive. It brings a lot of the fans out. People
The
who don't even-
arenas are rocking with energy.
And the players literally play each game like their life depended on it.
It is
Exactly.
because some players that aren't the star players, you got to know they're fighting for a job. If they say they don't back check to their full ability and a goal goes in, that could cost them the series or the game or anything, and that could be a momentum shift in that series, and that could cost them their job. The
Yeah.
general manager would be
Judging by that
like, "You
time."
did that for us. You can't produce. We're sending you down. You're out of the NHL."
Yeah, but back to what you said about that. the Devils and the Kings, when they were in the finals together, you had players on the Devils who no one even heard of in their life. I mean, Steve Bernier, who was a wash-up from the Florida Panthers farm system, who ended up on the Panthers for a few years, comes to New Jersey, and for some reason has an awful regular season, but in the playoffs, their fourth line, who was made up of Bernier, Peter Harold, who I think is actually out of the league now, all these other players who were low-name players, like David Clarkson was only big name because of his points, and Adam Henrique was a rookie. These guys just start having unbelievable playoff seasons after having regular seasons, and they just explode.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know
They're just
why they're
trying to
choosing
fight.
now to do it. You don't know why they couldn't do that all year, but it works. It's really funny because Peter Harold probably had the season of his life. He's never going to play in the NHL ever again. He's in the AHL. He's never playing in the NHL ever again.
Because they're fighting for a meal ticket, basically.
Exactly.
Basically, that the general managers and the owners are holding money over their head and say, you got to provide for us.
We'll give you a big contract.
We'll give you a big contract. If you look at Torrey Krug. I know I brought him up before, but when they lost to the Blackhawks, they brought him up from the playoffs because one of their defensemen.
Stamkos
They
got
got
the same thing.
They got hurt. Krug, I remember watching. I was like, "Who is this kid? He can't be any good." In his first game,
He had a
first
slap
NH
shot from the blue line.
first
It was a rocket.
NHL, first NHL game, playoffs. He's really. I can tell he'd probably be very nervous. I would be too. He comes in. I think he gets 2 goals. He really contributes. He gets a game.
And he has a
goal,
rocket
too.
slap shot, that kid. His first goal, he just goes and they pass to him on the blue line and he just rips it, and it's upper corner for a goal.
He's a very smart defenseman, but he can also be a forward if you like. That's how they have him work. That's how they have him in their defense now. If they need to, they could have a centerman or someone drop back as he rushes the puck up because he has that shot. He has accuracy with it. He has speed.
Like almost like a throwback to Stevie Y in '96.
That totally is. And let's talk about who's going to be the most unpredictable team in these playoffs. If you're watching podcasts online from networks like TSN, Sportsnet Canada, Hockey Night in Canada, NBC Sports, one of the biggest hockey networks in America, you see they are all saying that in the Eastern Conference, the most unpredictable team will be my favorite team and the Atlantic Division champion Florida Panthers for the
Oh,
Eastern Conference.
without a question.
I believe that it might be the Penguins.
Well,
Hear me out on
the Penguins though had a really good record and passed the Rangers in playoffs, so that's not really unpredictable. They're a number 2 seed. The Panthers are a number 1 seed for the first time in their history since they made it to the run of the Stanley Cup Finals in 1996.
I'm just saying because even though people in the past few years, Penguins haven't raised a lot of heads, and I think they're on.
They always make the playoffs.
They're on a 9-game winning streak right now, and they could probably
Panthers
carry
are on
that. What?
Panthers are on a 4-game winning streak and close it out with a 9. But the thing here that people are saying the most unpredictable team will be Florida because they are young. They did lose one of their top point scorers in Vincent Trocheck, but they brought up University of North Dakota alum Rocco Grimaldi from the Portland Pirates, who in his second game with the team this year had 2 goals. And they were both amazing goals. And he's basically a younger version of Trocheck. Captain Willie Mitchell still out, their star defenseman, but that hasn't shown it's been really bothering them because Erica Branson came back from injury. Derek McKenzie's back as well as a veteran forward leader who's a very good penalty killer. And guys like Jakob Kindl, who they got in the trade, have really stepped up their game. Yuri Hudler and Teddy Purcell as well.
The Florida Panthers, I think, are really riding on a great wave this year. And the reason is because after so many years
Of sucking.
of disappointment and missing the playoffs, once you get a chance like this to really make a name for not just yourself and your team, but just the organization in general. Really.
And draw a crowd in. They're averaging 20,000 people a game now.
Right, because that's what happens when you're a success.
Exactly.
They're going to do everything they can in their power to win. And it doesn't matter what team they face, it doesn't matter what obstacles come their way, they're gonna do whatever they can to make that to get that cup. And really, what it takes is dedication and in another respect, kind of like patience in a way, and also very careful thinking. Because when you're going after the cup, you have to do stuff for your team that will not only benefit you, but also how the game plays out. Which means players have to be have to prepare themselves mentally, physically.
Be ruthless.
Yeah, ruthless.
Even if you're down in a game, you can just go out there and you can throw a big hit, change the momentum of a game. The smallest things matter. Maybe you make a good hit, you steal the puck, you get a possession, you get a quick goal. That could change the momentum of a game and a series.
Yeah, and I think that they're the most unpredictable team in the East. I'm pretty sure a lot of us are agreeing on that. Them or the Pittsburgh Penguins. For the West, I think without a doubt the most unpredictable team in this conference is the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely the Dallas Stars. You have Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin having both career
You have
years.
Jamie Ben, I forget his name, but Jamie Ben's younger brother.
Jordy Ben,
Jordy Ben.
who's okay, not as good as Jamie, but this team was actually predicted to win the President's Trophy this year, and unfortunately they didn't because the Capitals went on that huge run. But I think that this team is going to accomplish a lot of success, and this team the West better watch out. I mean, they're a very good young team with very good scorers. They don't have a lot of defense, but their team has so many guys who can score goals, and it's just great to see that. So I think that that's the most unpredictable team in the West. But I do think that both conferences this year are wide open because of how diverse the league is now with talent, and I think that anybody
This
can
year's
win.
playoffs is
And
going to be.
it's going to be probably the best playoffs that we have ever seen, without a doubt.
Every team has been really producing this season that's in the playoffs. It's not like they
There's
haven't
no
had to
like,
work.
oh,
It's just
they
they
don't
worked
deserve it.
so hard that they secured themselves a spot, and everyone that's in the playoffs has been building a good team. So it's going to be battle of the best in this league.
Yeah, really, the best thing about this year and with the playoffs going in is that every team has a chance to win. Every team that is in contention has really a chance to win based on what they've been able to show during the season. And you know, with playoff hockey, you know, with that
Unpredictability.
thank you, unpredictability of playoff hockey in mind, you kind of with all these great teams coming in, you're really in for a great show. I feel.
Yeah, definitely going to be a great show. To all our fans, definitely tune into those playoffs when they start. We only have 2 weeks until the first playoff game, boys. 2 weeks. And before we close off the show, let's touch a little bit on this. We have the Frozen Four starting this week in college hockey, being played at Amalie Arena, home of the Lightning in Tampa Bay. The Frozen Four teams that are left, we have a small 7,000 student school in Hamden, Connecticut, known as the Quinnipiac Bobcats, the #1 overall seed in the tournament, and actually finished the regular season #3 in the country. We also have the team that finished the season #1 in the country, University of North Dakota, home of a lot of NHL talent, TJ Oshie, Zach Parise, a lot of those guys went there. Boston College, of course, you know, what's a hockey playoff without a BC or a BU?
Oh yeah.
Exactly. What's the Frozen Four without one of them? And the last team, a team that came out really on the rise, I don't know how they came out, but University of Denver, a school that is mostly known for their lacrosse, has somehow really come out and played a really good hockey this year. Anything can happen. And what's your prediction of who's going to win this national championship, guys? I think Quinnipiac deserves this.
Quinnipiac.
I think they got to win this.
No
this
question, no argument. Quinnipiac.
I think the finals will be Quinnipiac, North Dakota. Quinnipiac takes it all.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's all the time we have for today on Stick Time. I'm Brett Mayerson,
I'm Logan Condon.
Patrick Hankles.
and we'll see you next edition on Stick Time. See you.